Amazon had Prime Day starting today.
Yeah.
And that should bode well, really well for them. There's actually consideration of having another one in the fall. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah, so there's consideration of having Prime Day again in the fall because it was such a success last year. Last year it got moved because of COVID.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, maybe we'll try it again. And I think it was actually, it could be smart on their end. They get the people before Black Friday shows up. And so it's kind of like one of those things where, I don't know, it may be advantageous for them to do it then too. The thing of it is, and I was just looking on there today, the Prime sales, it's usually like shit stuff like that I'm not even really all that interested in.
I almost bought 2 of their speakers.
Okay.
Which they had a pretty good deal on. It was like, so they have the regular speakers.
Yeah.
And then it's like a hub speaker that you use for your home. So the hub's more expensive. But I want to say it was a really good deal. I think for 2 of them, which hubs can act like regular speakers.
Yeah.
If you upgraded to 2, it was like, I want to say it was like $119 when they normally run. It's like 200 something. I don't know. It was a really good deal. Here's what I'll say about Amazon. It's kind of to your point. One, I don't feel like there's as much hype to this Prime Day as there was. Definitely not last fall.
Right.
And in years past, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of hype.
No.
Do you feel that way?
No, I don't at all.
And so, or you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah,
so
for sure.
like, that was one thing. I don't even think they do a very good job of executing their Prime Day, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I do that a lot. I go, right, like, you have a great opportunity, and you think about Black Friday, and you have an opportunity to just to take over Black Friday and create something totally new, which is what they have done. But when you think about Black Friday, companies typically do a really good job about doing promotions, teasers, having a couple things that are big teaser promotions.
Yeah.
I almost feel like Amazon is feeling itself and it's just like, yeah, we'll just do Prime Day and people are going to have sales, or people are going to just come pouring in. We'll see the numbers. I could totally be wrong, and I'm sure they're going to crush it. But adding a fall one, doing 2 a year now, I'm already a little bit like, is it as lucrative as it seems, or is this like the beginning of a decline of their Prime Day?
I think for me, like what's motivating me to just buy a bunch of stuff?
Yeah.
The first day of summer. Like, if I'm a spender, like if I saved up a bunch of money and I've been cooped up in my house, what am I going to do? I have to believe that I'm not the minority here, that I'm going to use all of the that was pretty good. All of the money that I have saved up to go do stuff, traveling, going out to eat, all that stuff. I think that's where most of the money is going to be spent, and it's not necessarily buying stuff that's on good, that's on discount or whatever. I'm not really thinking about that right now, and I definitely will be thinking about it closer to like the holidays and that sort of thing. That to me probably seems as if it would be more advantageous for them to move Prime Day towards the fall. Whereas right now, I just don't think that shopping and buying things is really on the top of people's minds, unless it's like clothes or stuff. We've seen like retail clothes, that sort of thing. But I just don't know if that's necessarily as high of demand as something like travel is right now.
I think to me, I feel like they're thinking of this too simplistically. So the thing about Amazon is they're in such a dominant position. We talked about it on Stockwatch Sunday. In 2021, it's projected that of all the e-commerce sales, Amazon's gonna have 41% of that market share.
Yeah.
So they're in dominant position. Walmart being second at 7%.
Yep.
When you're in a lead position, it's hard to be motivated to continue to innovate and make moves. Like, you almost can just do whatever you want and it'll be successful.
Unless you're Apple.
And so, yeah. But one would argue, what have they pushed the envelope on? Like
Apple? Yeah, that's true. I mean, they do take a while.
Change some things, but like they're still banking on the phone. That's a Steve Jobs thing.
Yeah, and I would argue too that when they are slow to innovate, I guess.
Yeah.
You see like Android and some of the other ones, they like try to push the envelope as fast as they can and get new technology out there as fast as they can. Whereas I guess Amazon or Apple's a little bit more methodical. So.
Well, and Apple, to their credit, they want to do it right, and so they'll wait.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's like you look at Amazon in the lead position. It's just really hard to just push the envelope or take chances. But if I'm Andy Jassy, and I'm looking at Amazon and what we could do with Prime Day and what our opportunities are. The whole discount model for a day or two, that's cool.
Yeah.
But like, what's the benefit Prime, right? Prime isn't about being cheap. Prime's about being quick,
Yeah.
free shipping, and you get that quickly.
Yeah.
So I guess it could encourage people over 2 days to potentially sign up for Prime, but ultimately you want not the e-commerce sales, you want people to sign up for Prime so you get that revenue, which is high margin.
Yes.
And you get people continuing to buy throughout the year. So one I would consider is not doing it for 2 days, but doing it for a month and not really focusing it around selling products at discount, but maybe incentivizing the sellers and like your content. You have this huge content
I was just about to say that. Yes.
You know, HBO Max and Disney, they come out with this original content. Take some of your original content, offer it for anybody who signs up to Prime. Those are the ideas you can come up with to ultimately get people to flow in. But Prime Day to me isn't really getting people to flow in as new Prime customers. It's just getting existing customers to spend more money, which I don't think is the objective.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I mean, they have Twitch. I don't think they leverage it enough.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, and if you're a Prime member, you get benefits to Twitch too, but I don't think
nobody realizes.
Yeah, and they don't push it as much. And maybe it's in the works. Maybe we can see this come football season. We know that they're going to be benefiting from that as well. So perhaps that's in the works. But I agree, man. I think, trying to incentivize people by buying stuff on discount doesn't necessarily, I think, do it for people anymore. Yeah. I think it's the experience, feeling like you're a part of something. I think it's probably going to motivate them to want to be a Prime member more than anything else.
I think that I don't want to insult Amazon, but I think they could learn a lot and avoid a lot of the mistakes that Under Armour made with their previous CEO, founder, Kevin Plank.
Yeah.
They tried to do everything, and he didn't even do it under the Under Armour umbrella. He just created all these business opportunities, and their current CEO is trying to unravel that. And it kind of feels that way when you look at Twitch. When you even look at Prime Video, when you look at all their services that they're adding, they're doing all these other ancillary things. They have AWS and things for the business. But when you look at it pertains to Prime, what if Amazon only did Prime? What would that product look like?
Yeah.
And I feel like they're almost stretched in too many directions where it's like, we can focus on Prime, but what's the point? We have this AWS. And that's where they might get in trouble. And that's where Under Armour got in trouble. They tried to compete with Nike and they started throwing money at schools, money at everything.
Yeah.
Kevin Plank, the owner, bought a farm, and when it started doing horse racing, bought a whiskey company, bought an incubator, did all these things, and ultimately built a hotel that's beautiful in the middle of Baltimore City. But what ultimately happened was they ended up hurting all of the businesses, and nobody succeeded, and they all suffered.
We have AWS, but let's fly into space. Let's give that a shot.
Yeah.
The other thing that I will say that I do think was a smart move was the prescription side of their business. I think that's going to be...
Well, that's my point.
I think that's going to blow up.
Can they give it the attention it deserves? Because that could blow up.
That's true.
You talk about the model with they're trying to get their clothing a little bit more desirable, and so they have their online shopping experience, much like Stitch Fix.
Yeah.
You don't hear that talked about.
Right.
I looked at their page, and it's like down in the middle in a little box. You wouldn't even know what it was if you weren't looking for it.
Yeah.
And so this great idea is like, who better to make sense to compete with Stitch Fix than Amazon?
Yeah.
But if you're buying companies and doing that or creating that experience and not investing any money, you're wasting valuable resources. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge with them moving forward. You're establishing yourself as a cost leader using cost leadership strategy, which is not a great strategy in the first place because you're discounting things, right? So for those of you who don't know, a cost leadership strategy means that you're competing with people based on cost, where I bet that if I make it cheaper, that I'm going to be able to push out my competitors because they're not going to be able to lower the prices because I have better efficiencies. Walmart is the poster child for that example.
Yeah.
Well, at some point, you just eat into your margin so much that's not great for a publicly traded company because margins are really important, EBITDA is really important, and net income is really important. And so those things I worry about because you're buying a bunch of shit. your labor is going to go through the roof, and your costs associated with it are going to continue to eat into your margin. So listen, I love Amazon. It's still one of my Fat Man Zoom stocks, but I really care about what Andy Jassy does moving forward and where his focus is live, because what makes Amazon is AWS. Let's not forget.
Yes.
Like, that's what it's about.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And just looking at the chart, I do want to point out the cup and handle is in form, is starting to shape up really nicely here on the chart. We have on the daily chart, you can see, lots of times when you see this cup and handle formation, if it gets rejected there on the first day at 3,500 at its resistance, you're going to see some consolidation. So there is still the possibility of this thing really starting to make a move if we get up above that 3,500 mark. So this looks great. It looks like a textbook cup and handle pattern on a daily. Still looks good. We love Amazon. Again, not trying to poo-poo on anything as far as Amazon's concerned, but we always try to give you the bull and bear cases, and poking holes and stuff like this is kind of what we do, even though sometimes it can be controversial.
Yeah, for sure. And Amazon, we talk about FANG coming back and the market coming back in interest in the market. Apple's making a good comeback, but we're looking at, one of the most valuable companies, and those top dogs, they're going to lead the way for overall sentiment in the market. And so Amazon, listen, there's still a lot to be written with Amazon, and I feel really good about the company. I think the stock is undervalued. But man, that statistic was interesting. They have 40%, projected to have 40% of market share.
It's wild.
And second place is 7%. In Target's in fourth place with 2%. Like,
that's crazy.
How much more can you get? eBay's a sleeper. eBay was a sleeper at number 3.
When will Amazon become a value stock?